Welcome back to I Accidentally Married a Filipina. This isn't my story. This is Paul's story, but I just want to tell you guys, and I wanted to do this with me talking to you. This one gets a little touchy, a little some sensitive content, you might say. So I just wanted to tell you that before we get going. If you're not, it's just the part of the true story that had to stay in there. And I left it in there, so just be careful as you're watching.
As you can imagine, waking up to Shane's mother wearing her daughter's wedding dress was more than I could process, so while Sarah slept, I hurriedly packed my suitcase and eased out the back door as the sun was about to break loose from the Angeles city skyline. I walked towards Walking Street, and more specifically, Tequila Reef, to grab some breakfast. I ordered 2 eggs over medium, toast and bacon, and waited as quite a few other expats had the same breakfast plans as I did. As I zoned out and began to contemplate the events from earlier this morning, I couldn't shake the idea that I had just woke up next to my mother-in-law Sarah wearing Shane's wedding dress. Alternating shame and pleasure emotions played out in my head as I was ashamed that Shane would be disappointed in me, but also the pleasure that when I thought it was Shane, my world turned right side up and I was happy again, if only for a minute. I had sat out front of the beer rail, and a few expats whom I figured to be regulars asked if I could move down so they could all sit together. I obliged and picked up my food, trying to either justify my shame by blaming Sarah and beer and wanting to chalk it up to a pleasurable experience believing it was my wife. Either way, I had to find a place to go. I finished most of my breakfast, and the expat close to me asked if I had just arrived. This puzzled me, so I said, "No. Why?" He pointed at my suitcase, and I said, "Oh, no. I just checked out of the hotel, and I'm looking for something a little more calm and a little more safe." The expat group, almost in unison, barked, "Filipina problems," and they laughed. I replied something like that and laughed to fit in. One expat introduced himself as Brian and said there were openings in his condo community if I was interested. I thought this could be a good place to start, so I took him up on his offer, and when he was done eating, he drove me and my suitcase about 2 miles west of Fields Avenue and into a facility that was patterned after Spanish villas. It looked nice, but I was expecting a high-rise condo building, not duplexes. Brian said he would show me his condo, and if I liked it, he would drop me off at the manager's office. As it turned out, Brian was retired from the police force and had lived in and around Angeles for 6 years. He said he really liked this location because it was close enough to the action, but too far for the working girls to follow you home. His place was a tidy 2-bedroom, 1-bath with aircon and a big enough kitchen. I told him I thought it was a nice place, but I only needed a 1-bedroom. He said about 1/4 of the duplexes had a 1-bedroom option, so he chauffeured me up to the manager's office, and I thanked him. The manager was a cute Filipina, probably in her mid-30s, professionally dressed in tight black slacks and a puffy white button-up shirt. She had me fill out some paperwork and walked me to the 1-bedroom condo to view. The condo was already modestly furnished right down to the pots and pans. The cute Filipina manager said I could save some money and buy my own furnishings over time, but that most expats just took the condos already furnished to avoid having to hire a truck every time they wanted to move, and this property was all bills paid, so it was convenient. I told the cute manager lady I was looking for convenient and quick, as I needed a fresh start right now. My paperwork came back satisfactory, as I knew it would, and I got the keys and began the process of moving in. Really, I just unpacked my suitcase. I stayed to myself and in my condo most of the week, as I was almost scared I would run into Sarah and have to explain my hasty departure, and I was still feeling guilty for my actions and wouldn't know how to even verbalize what I was thinking or feeling, so it was better to just lay low for a few days. I was running low on supplies, so I headed towards the S.M. Clark to get some groceries. I loaded up for a week in case I didn't feel like leaving the condo just yet. I stopped at Andock's for some grilled chicken to go for lunch by the pool. I changed into my trunks and grabbed my Andox and a San Mig light and went to relax in the sun. As I finished my meal, I see Brian roll in with a pretty cute but skinny Filipina in an even skinnier bikini. Brian comes over and introduces me to his date and tells me his breakfast friends are coming over to hang out and drink at the pool, and I should stay as the scenery is usually pretty good. I have nothing better to do, so I throw away my trash and head to the condo to get another beer. By the time I return to the pool, it looks like the old folks' home invited the nightclub girls over for a pool party blowout. Expats tend to be an elderly bunch, but these guys made me look like a kid. But I will have to admit they rolled in style. I hadn't seen that much barely covered skin all in one place in quite some time. As I lived 20 yards from the pool, I went back to the condo for another beer. I stayed out with the expat crew for about another 3 hours and really enjoyed myself. As I left, Brian told me this was an every Saturday and Sunday event, so I'll see you tomorrow. Weeks go by and I'm getting to know the expat crew pretty well, and the ones with the same girlfriends, I got to know them as well. I was falling into a routine and starting to feel better about my situation. Every morning I'd jog around the property, shower, breakfast at Tequila Reef, wander around the mall, or run errands. Take a dip in the pool, have dinner, watch NFL games on the replay, and then sit on the front porch before bed. The only real break from this routine is Saturday and Sunday hot Filipina pool parties. I look forward to these as I haven't dated since moving into the condo here 5 months ago, and I had one more month to decide if I wanted to renew my lease or move on. I was becoming very attached to the routine I created, and there wasn't really any reason to move other than it would be nice to have more friends my age to discuss things other than Social Security and high blood pressure medicine. It was again Saturday, and Brian came in early with his Filipina Linda and another Filipina friend of hers. Pleasantries were exchanged, and the rest of the group arrived, and as always, the scantily clad Filipinas all splashed about in the pool while the expats talked politics and diabetes medication. I found a lounge chair near the expats, but within view of the sexy pool entertainers. It was a little hotter than usual, so I got up to go get another San Mig light from the fridge, and as I was leaving, Brian asked if Linda could use my bathroom if I was headed that way. By the time she finished, I had put on another coat of sunscreen, grabbed a beer, and waited by the door, and we headed to the pool. Linda made some small talk about her friend she brought today. They both worked at the same bar, but don't worry, she is just a waitress, not a bar girl. I asked why would I be worried? I haven't been to a bar in 6 months. Linda slapped my arm and said, because she thinks you're guapo. I really had no response as I had not been in this mode for quite some time, so I just shrugged my shoulders and moved on back to the pool. I stopped to talk to Brian and the guys, and as I was facing the pool, I saw Linda whispering into her friend's ear, and her friend being very interested. Her friend looked over at me and caught me staring at her, and I nervously looked away. They laughed and went back to splashing around. Dusk was about to set in, and I decided on one more beer, and Brian asked once again if Linda could use my bathroom, and off we went. This time, when I turned around from the refrigerator, Linda and her friend were walking out of the bathroom. Her friend reintroduced herself as Kara and asked me for a beer as Linda left the condo. I stood talking to Kara, and she turned out to be very funny and spoke pretty good English. I hadn't had to use my charm in quite some time, but her skimpy bikini and my cold aircon was making it obvious that Kara was enjoying my company. Kara asked if she could get me a beer, and I said sure. She popped the top and brought it to me and asked for a tip. I said my wallet was in my other pants. She stepped up and kneeled on the bar stool and leaned in and kissed me very passionately right on the lips. Thanks for the tip, she said, and climbed down to drink her beer. Awkward silence followed, but she said something funny and all was well. I went to the bathroom, and when I came back, Kara was holding another beer for me and demanding a tip. She was a great kisser, so I leaned in and she put her hand up to stop me. Not here, in there, as she pointed at my bedroom. Well, it has been some time, so I will leave the next few minutes up to your imaginations. Abruptly, there was a knock at the door, and Kara jumped up and rushed to the door with Linda and waved goodbye with a big smile, and they got into Brian's car for the ride back to Angeles. Sunday arrived right on schedule, and so did Kara. She followed me from the pool to my condo to use the bathroom. She didn't seem to mind, so why should I? The scenario played out regularly every Saturday and Sunday until it hits the fan.